September 17th, 2024 is about to begin. And if I could have the clerk call the roll.
Commissioner Barnett.
Here.
Commissioner Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Bernard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Marino. Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here. I'm sorry. Here.
A moment of silence for the mayor.
Do we have a quorum? Thank you very much, sir. And if I could ask Commissioner Baxter to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise if you can. Good morning, everyone. This weekend we suffered a great loss. Mayor Pinto of Royal Palm Beach passed away unexpectedly, and so I would like to ask everyone if we could just have a moment of silence in his memory. Father, help us be sensitive to what has happened to those around us. Make us aware of the concerns of others and guide us through the decision process that is before us today. Give us the strength and courage to do what is best for all those who come before us. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maybe she beat him up. All right, good morning, everybody. And if we're going to move right into the agenda approval, do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions of the agenda as is?
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, oh, she's not here yet. Members of the board, good morning. We have on page 15, item 3C2. We made some clarifications on this particular item so that it reflects the 538 days being retroactive. It is not from this point forward. Those are items that have already been processed, and this is just a change order cleaning it up. Plus, we will have other change orders coming as we close the project. On page 15, 3C2, did I just do that one? Yeah. On page 95, 5D2 is an add-on, and this is associated with a property we're asking the board's direction on. That concludes the addition and deletions.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ms. Baker. Can we have an adoption of the agenda as amended?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
From Commissioner Mac Bernard and a second by Commissioner Barnett. All those for, anybody opposed, see that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Going on to the consent agenda on what you got, pages 12 to 81. It's lengthy. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to pull item 3BB1 and 3CC1. They're on both items have reference to organization Speak Up for Kids. My wife serves on the board and therefore have been advised by council on the abundance of caution to not participate in voting on those items.
Okay, so we will remove that item, and we'll take a vote on the consent agenda without that item. And thank you for bringing that up. I'd like to remove 3C2, page 15, and I know Ms. Baker has already alluded to that on the Lyons Road issue. And I want to make sure that the record is clear. Are there any other changes or modifications to that issue, Ms. Baker, so that the record is clear as to what is happening with Lyons Road and with that change order.
Yes, that's part of the add and delete sheet, substitution sheet. And that is to clarify that the days of extension and cost are for items that have already been completed, and we're so now just making it retroactive. That runs from February 19th of 2023 through August 10th of 2024. That was associated with the ordering of the mast arms, which were product delayed as a result of COVID. And so we actually created a temporary mast arm so that we could keep the project moving. It also accounts for holidays that were during that period of time, rain days, et cetera. So we are continuing to move forward. We've got a little more work to do, so we'll be coming back to the board with some final change orders as we close this project in the future.
Yeah, and the closing date with that modification, as you mentioned, would be approximately?
It will depend upon rain days, but it will be sooner rather than later. I don't want to necessarily give you an exact date.
Would it be this year, 2024?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
It will be
just wanted
this
to be
year.
sure. Be 2024. I wanted to highlight that and make sure
It
that
will
that was-
definitely be 2024.
Okay, very good. So now we're going to take a vote.
David and Joanne, hear me.
I see them.
We have a card on one item that's not been pulled.
Okay. Well, so let me call out Joanna and David Ricks for the work on this. This has been a work in progress, and we've hit a lot of issues here, but I appreciate all the work that we've done, but I look forward to completing this project. And David, you don't need to come on up right now. Everything's good. Everything's good. Don't come up. Okay, very good. We have one other item where
We have actually-
Commissioner Weiss wants to pull because there's
we
a
have-
card?
No, we have cards on a couple of consent agenda items.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead? We're going to read them at this time.
All right. On Alexandria Larson, on item 3C9.
Oh, wait a
And-
minute, we need a timekeeper. Good morning, Ms. Larson, just
Oh,
give us a
really?
minute for technology.
I wanted to just put consent on there, Commissioners, but he made me choose a number, so I chose the number
Okay.
3C9. Because we're doing a lot of bonds this morning. And I read the article in the Palm Beach Post, what our budget was and is, and it seems like we should be driving on diamonds, because the budget for the FBI is only $10 billion. It's amazing. I mean, we have big budget, and I'm worried about us because all of the constituents who stop me on the street are having a hard time. I do. I get stopped and we can't eat, we can't buy groceries, and I'm like, okay, I'll go down there and say that. I promise. I'll mention this to everybody because everybody's having a real hard time. I'm sure, Commissioners, in your lives, you're having a hard time, but we have this tremendous amount of money, and hopefully every contract on the consent agenda, because it's like 86 pages today. I don't know. I didn't count exactly. The bonds were 312 pages when I'm reading it last night. And it's a lot of money, Commissioners, and everyone is a cost overrun. Every contract, when we have a road, there's a mistake, and we got to wait 365 days, and the days might be a little long, but every contract goes over the contract. And I know when I worked in retail, if I went over the contract, I would have got fired. You know, my boss would have said, what did you do wrong? Why didn't you check for the pipes? So here we are, and that's the reason I'm here, because we are having a really hard time, and you are doing your taxes and stuff today, so hopefully you'll have that in your mind, because every consent agenda is a cost overrun. There's not one, it's a lot. So hopefully we can get those contract people together and fix it a little bit where we're not so much overrun. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Commissioner Weiss?
Megan Bobb, Charlotte Gill, Kathy Benson, and Roxanne Jacobs on item 3BB3, if you wish to speak.
Those folks here?
Just a nod of gratitude from the Literacy Coalition.
Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Very nice.
I think that's it
Okay,
for the
that's
cards.
it? Okay, very good. All right, what we're going to do with the consent
I'll
agenda.
go ahead and move it.
well, we're going to eliminate one. Oh, did you have something to say, Mac?
Yeah, I was going to just make the motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 3BB1 on page 68 and item 3CC1 on page 74 and 75.
Very good. Do I have a second?
3C2? Did you?
Wait, I just want to make for
Hold
the
on one
record.
second. Madam Mayor, the item on 3C9, did you still want it to be pulled?
No.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'll
Thank
second that.
Okay, so we have a first by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Weiss. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Okay, so we're moving right along. And we're going to take that one item, which is,
Not on his items.
Okay, not them.
we don't have any other cards. Okay, good. We need to approve that one consent item that was removed, okay? And that consent item is, and I'm reading from Commissioner Weiss's notes, but it's already been noted for the record.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 3BB1.
And?
Second?
Okay,
We'll just do them separately.
okay. We have a second from Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Go right ahead, Commissioner Mack.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 3CC1.
Correct. I have a second from Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Commissioner Weiss was out of the room at the time, consistent with his motion, and very good. We have done with the consent agenda as amended. We are moving on to public hearings, which appear on page, should we do the public hearings right now, Commissioner? Okay, very good. Ms. Baker, we're going to move right on to public hearings, which appear on page 82. And if you could refer to my colleagues to 82.
Yep. Receive proof of publication.
And if I could have a motion to receive and file on proof of publication
So
for
moved.
4A, 1A, and B. And a second, first by Commissioner Weiss, second by Commissioner Bernard. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. And we have 4B, 1A, B, C, and D. If I could have a motion to, as you leave please keep your voices down. Thank you. Appreciate it. If I could have a motion to receive and file on proof of publication for 4B, 1A, B, C, and D.
Madam Mayor, so moved.
Very good, from Commissioner Baxter, second by Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Now, with regard to 4C1, this is a quasi judicial proceeding where you're going to ask the clerk to swear in anybody who is going to be testifying at this time.
We just have, sorry, we have cards.
Scott will swear him in, Mayor.
Yeah, not the clerk.
Madam Mayor, traditionally, we allow, our Assistant County Attorney to do the swearing in of witnesses, and then we do the disclosures, or vice versa.
Okay.
Oh, we have comments.
Well, could I have,
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the comments on the other item first, and then we'll go ahead and do the disclosures.
and then we'll do the swearing in?
And then we'll do the swearing.
Wouldn't you like to do the swearing in today, Ms.?
Oh, I would not.
No, really? Okay. I was just thinking maybe you would like to do it. Okay, you'll
Thank
pass
you,
it on
though.
to the associate.
I'm the-
Very good. Okay, so we're going to move now on cards.
These are 4C1, sorry, this item, it is this item, okay, we're good.
Okay, so we'll do the cards in just a bit, but right now, we are going to have, should we have the swearing in right now? We'll have the disclosures. Let's do the disclosures, right, God? So we're going to start with Commissioner Barnett. And Commissioner Barnett, we are on 4C1 disclosures.
Thank you, Mayor. For item 4C1, I've had verbal communications with Jeff Brophy. No correspondence, no site visit. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. My staff had verbal communications with Jeff Brophy, no correspondence and no site visit.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. I had verbal communication with Ramsey Buckley, Brian Seymour, Kelly Smallridge, Yohan Machado, Jeff Brophy, and Dusty Dodge, and my office and I received emails that have been filed with the clerk.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On item 3C1, I had verbal communications with Jeff Brophy, and I received correspondence, no site visits, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Baxter?
Madam Mayor, I have had no written communications and verbal communication with Jeff Brophy and Kelly Smallridge, and no site visit.
Very good. And from the mayor's office, we had email communications with Dusty Dodge of Dodge Real Estate Corporation. We receive and file the emails and the phone messages, and I've had verbal communication with Jeff Brophy. All right, now, who's going to have the pleasure of, very good. We have the associate attorney swear. Anybody who wishes to testify on this behalf, please stand up.
All those wishing to testify on this particular item, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Very good. Now, do we have a staff report at this time?
And did we received proof of publication earlier, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And only if it's at the pleasure of the board, we have the applicant here if there's any presentation needed as well.
Let me see what the appetite of the board is. Does anybody here wish to hear a staff presentation at this time? See no need at this time. I think we have all been pretty well versed in the issues of this case. Is there any issues with the applicant coming up before we proceed to a vote? Okay.
Madam Mayor, if there's no comments, I'd like to make the motion to approve item 4C1.
Very good. Then we'll go ahead and proceed for the vote.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If the applicant wanted to make a presentation, we should make sure that we do ask them and give them that opportunity.
I have. However,
I'm a little confused about whether they want to speak or not.
I'm sure that if they want to, they will. So, if you...
Good morning. For the record, Jeff Brophy with WGI. We do have a presentation, happy to go through it, but I also know that there is a card, so I want to make sure that you're aware that there's a card from the public that wants to speak on the item.
Do we have a card? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Brophy, we're going to go ahead and proceed with the cards, and then at that time, that might be an appropriate time for you to make your application. Okay, very good. Commissioner Weiss?
Alexandria Larson.
The thing that worried me about this one, Commissioners, when I'm reading the backup on this, we generally follow the comp plan. That's exactly what it says. Not that we follow the comp plan. We generally follow the comp plan. And I hope to God, Commissioners, we are following the comp plan. Not generally, not vaguely, not we'll think about it. We're going to, because that's in the backup. I'm not going to find it hook, line, and sinker for you. You can all find it yourselves. Somebody in minutes will help you, I'm sure. But it shouldn't say that. Anywhere in the document in this county should it say we generally follow something. It makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck when I read this kind of stuff, because the stuff was done in like 57 or 67, and I apologize, I can't remember the year, but I mean, they didn't even know how to write New York in the backup. They didn't know how to spell it. If you look at what it says New York when they're changing the document that was notarized, it's pretty funny when they don't even know how to spell New York. But the one thing that generally following the comp plan, we got to follow the comp plan, Commissioners, because there's too much going on right now, and there's too many ifs. Climate change, you name it. I won't bring it all up. You know it all what it is. But that should never be in the backup. We generally follow the comp plan. Please look into that. I hope it's removed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson.
Larry Cortez, and be followed by Sean Rowan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Cortez. I'm here on behalf of Forest Glen Property Owners Association. This is the one community that is directly to the west of the proposed site change, and Forest Glen Property Owners Association opposes it. Their largest concerns, we expressed these last month, concerns the traffic, the increase in number of trucks that are anticipated to come in carrying cars on the back. The concerns is that there doesn't seem to be much consideration for the rest of that area, particularly for the community of Forest Glen. So when we were here last, there was some discussion about placing speed bumps or some sort of speed mitigation devices. The problem with those devices is they would help to a certain extent for cars or trucks coming down the Orleans Court, but they don't mitigate the speed of these trucks coming off of Military Trail to reach the site. There are 6 school bus pickups and drop-offs every day at the corner of Military Trail, a 6-lane highway, and Orleans Court. So while there would be a speed mitigation further down Orleans Court, which would benefit the community land itself, you still have the problem with those trucks coming off before they get to that speed hump right there at the corner where those kids are being picked up or let off from the bus. When we discussed this with Mr. Machado, one of the things we raised was why the entrance to this site couldn't have been south on Gulf Road. And the concern was about the median cut, the curb cut on Military Trail. No inquiry was made with the state of Florida, with DOT, as to whether or not that could have been moved. And so our concern is this is all premature, because instead of considering the interest of Forest Glen and considering how do we bring these trucks, how do we bring this equipment coming in off of a different street than that primarily used by the community, no inquiry was made, as far as we know, with DOT to see if they would even permit it. So we would ask the county to not approve the plan, and at least require the property owner to go back and consult with DOT, apply for them, and see if they could work out something better that doesn't cause that increase in traffic on Orleans Court. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Sean Rowan. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, Minister Baker. I'm here representing the Business Development Board, and I just wanted to say that we are in support. We have been working with Project Charlie since its earliest stages. This is due to the fact that Project Charlie is one of our targeted industries that the Business Development Board is tasked with recruiting, retaining, and expanding here in Palm Beach County. This project is looking to create at least 60 high-paying jobs in an area of Palm Beach County that doesn't typically get a lot of relocation or expansion projects in targeted industries. So that's why we are here and we are in support of this project. Thank you.
Very good. Questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Weiss, do we have any other cards?
No, ma'am.
Very good. All right, whoever would like to come up and speak on behalf of the applicant.
No, thank you. Yeah, like I said, we do have a presentation. We don't need to go through it all. Just in regards to the issue since the August hearing.
Madam Mayor, would you make sure that we get an introduction for the benefit of the record?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I did last time. Jeff Brophy with WGI.
Thank you.
Since the last time, we do have conditions of approval. They were a part of the original application that you saw, but anyway, there are conditions of approval relating to buffering adjacent to the existing community in regards to the traffic calming are part of the engineering conditions as well. And we did look into the median opening. It cannot be moved south due to the location of existing turn lanes to the south of the New Orleans Court. So.
Is that something, sir, that you discussed with FDOT?
Our traffic engineer had conversations with the FDOT regarding that, yes.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for Mr. Brophy at this time? See none? Okay. Then do we have any questions or comments by members of the board on this issue? Commissioner Baxter and then Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know that I made the motion, but this is Commissioner Weiss's district, so I'll withdraw it so he can and go from there.
Maybe he won't. I don't know. We'll see. Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Baxter. And I'm happy to have you make the motion, but if you're withdrawing, I will go ahead and make the motion. I want to thank both staff. I want to thank the applicant. I want to thank the folks in the neighborhood who came out and alerted us to some of the concerns. I appreciate them working all together. I understand your latest comment regarding the opening of the median, but our understanding is that the applicant did speak to FDOT, or at least their engineer did, and that's not a possibility. One of the things I would recommend that the neighborhood do, though, is speak to the school board. You all should be considering, I would think, you've got that nice loop there, why the bus doesn't come in and pick them up right at the entrance to the neighborhood as opposed to having them go out on the Military Trail when there's an easy loop for a bus to make. I honestly, I don't understand why you would want those children to be right out on Military Trail. So that would be my suggestion. I think it's a really reasonable thing for the school board to be able to make a decision and make it safer for those kids that are out there. And with that, so I've made the motion.
And I think I have a second from Commissioner Baxter. Of those four, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Thank you very much, folks. We're going to move into the regular agenda, which is found on 5A1, airports. And we have a staff recommendation on this. Would anybody on the board wish to have a presentation? Okay, Ms. Beebe, you never can make it up here, right? Anybody else? Okay, very good.
Do we have any cards, Madam?
We're on
5A1.
5A1, no.
All right, we have no cards. Okay, we have no cards. So at this point then, if there is a motion for 5A1, and I'm looking at Ms. Lawyer here, can we have one vote for A, B, and C?
You can, Madam Mayor.
Very good. So that would be a 5A1, A, B, and C.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 5A1, A, B, and C.
I'll second that.
And I have a second from Commissioner Weiss. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Very good job, staff. Excellent. Moving right on now to 5B1. And we have 5B1 and 5B2. I guess we would do two separate votes. And so with that, we have staff present. Do we have any cards on this, Commissioner Weiss? Okay. So do we wish to have a staff presentation? Seeing no appetite for that. Staff, you did a great job. We're going to move forward on a vote for a motion to approve the funding for this issue. Do I have a first?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve 5B1 and also states that these are federal CDBG funds which do not require a local match.
Very good. That's Commissioner Bernard. A second from Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. 5B2 on a motion to approve. Do we have any cards, Commissioner Weiss? 5B2.
Yes, we have one card.
We have one card. Let's have the card read first, and then we can proceed.
Christine Sylvain.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Christine Sylvain. I'm the CEO and founder of Path to College, and I just want to take a moment to thank county staff, particularly Jonathan Brown, Stefania Russell, and Carlos Serrano for their help putting this package together for your approval today. And just for everybody's awareness, Path to College plans on launching Palm Beach County's first College and Career Mentoring Center for Youth. We're calling it Catapult. It's a project with funding from the state, from the city, and hopefully today with the county so that we can help every student who needs guidance with college and career plan, scholarship search, and more. So just wanted to add that, and thank you for your time today.
Just 1 minute. We have a question from Commissioner Barnett.
I don't have a question, but if there are no other comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
hold on just once. I just want to make sure if there's, and I'll hold that as your motion. Are there any other questions or comments of this witness or person? Thank you very much. At this time, this applicant? No? See none? Okay. Commissioner Barnett is recognized as having made a first motion on this topic, and it is second.
I'll second it.
By Commissioner Weiss. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
6-0. Thank you very much. All right, very good. All right, it's 5B3, and this will be one vote on A, B, and C. Do we have a card, Commissioner Weiss?
We do.
All right, go right ahead.
Shanna Ostrovitz.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Shana Ostrovitz, the Executive Director of 1909. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm here as a representative of over 200 homegrown entrepreneurs and small businesses in Palm Beach County. So I just want to express our deepest gratitude for your consideration and support for our new programming, which will help more local businesses scale up to their first $1 million in revenue, filling a gap in the current Palm Beach County entrepreneurial ecosystem. And providing this support, you'll help them grow and scale up right here in this county so they don't have to leave or face shutting down. We want to thank Commissioner Weiss for initiating this funding and believing in the effects it will have on our local economy, as well as Commissioner Bernard and the rest of the board and staff for helping us put this together. We look forward to working with all of you if we receive your support in all your communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, very good. Do we have any other cards, Commissioner Weiss? None? Do I have a first?
I would like to make a motion to approve item 5B3, A, B, and C.
Very good. And a second from Commissioner Baxter. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Now we're looking at 5B4. And A and B. Do we have anybody who would like to have a staff report? Seeing nobody, I guess we've all been very well briefed. Did a great job. Thank you. And if I could have somebody to make a motion on this.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on item 5B4, A and B.
Very good. And I have a second from Commissioner Baxter. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Thank you very much, staff. It's a great report. 5C1, the Office of Resilience. Do we? Well, and as we wait for staff to come forward, I'm going to ask Commissioner Weiss to read the card, please.
Thank you. Alexandria Larson.
I just think this is a great idea, Commissioners. Some trees out there and making a larger canopy, God knows we need it, because this summer tells us anything, we need a lot of shade. So this is a really good idea, and I'm glad to see some trees getting planted somewhere instead of us planting something cement. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Appreciate it. And we have one other card. Commissioner
Mark
Weiss?
Cassini.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and County Commissioners. I'm Mark Cassini, the co-founder and executive director of Community Greening. We're an urban forestry nonprofit based in, we're based in Boca. We started in Delray, and we really did that because in 2016 people were upset about trees coming down and, you know, losing canopy trees and losing green spaces. And so we joined the Arbor Day Foundation's Alliance for Community Trees. So there's groups like us all around the country. And we've really just been modeling our nonprofit after those ones that have been around for 40 and 50 years in Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, LA. And we just continue to really grow, I think, because there's a big demand for this in South Florida. We are losing tree canopy. We're losing the eco benefits of all the things that the trees do, like extreme heat. That's the biggest one, why we should be planting trees in South Florida. But there's so many other things that trees do. So while we did start in South County, started in Delray, we've really been working across the county. And a few years ago, we were part of community conversations with Children's Services Council and Palm Health, and it was residents and nonprofits in the Glades that heard about what we were doing, and they asked us to come out there. Palm Health funded a pilot project for us to start doing exactly this, to plant trees at schools in the Glades and to give away trees. And then we were fortunate enough to work with the Office of Resilience on this grant. So now the EPA has awarded us this $1 million to increase the tree canopy in the Glades. And while it's sorely needed throughout our county, the Glades is the lowest tree canopy percentage of every place that we've had studied, with a canopy around 6%. So they really do need a lot of trees. That is in the residential and commercial areas that's taking out agricultural. So I mean, a 6% tree canopy is very minimal compared to places more, you know, West Palm might have a 30, Delray has a 23% canopy, Boca has a 26% canopy. And so we're really trying to increase the tree canopy, engage the residents, hire people out in the Glades to help really do the outreach and get people excited about trees like we've done in other places. So I appreciate your time today, and we're really looking forward to working with the Office of Resilience on this over the next few years to increase the canopy out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cassini, just 1 second. I want to thank you for what you do. This is no cost to the county, and it does such a tremendous benefit. I'd like for you to focus possibly on South County, Bert Aronson Park. I know that you're doing a lot of parks in the Glades, but we really have very, very little shade, especially where the children play in the playground. So I wonder if at some point you could take a look at that park. It's huge, beautiful, and could probably use some greening.
Okay, we will.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Okay,
Any other
thank you.
questions or comments? Very good. Okay. I think we're ready to proceed to a vote. No other cards, Mr. Commissioner Weiss? Very good. So, now, I know you probably want to have a report, but does anybody wish to have a staff report?
No.
Okay, anybody? Okay, very good. Then, thank you anyways. We have been well-versed on this, and I appreciate it. So we're going to proceed to a vote on a motion to approve on 5C1. And
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to approve 5C1.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Baxter, second by Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for your good work. Okay, looking at 5D1, A, B, and C is going to be one vote. And we have staff here. Do we have any cards?
We have one card.
We have one card. And I have a feeling I know who it is without looking at the card. Go ahead and read the name.
Alexandria Larson.
Very good. Back if you want to. Ms. Larson, you're recognized.
Thanks. It's the backup, commissioners. When I read that stuff at night, my cat's crying on the little keyboard. He's going to kill my computer's keyboard. It's the real estate, commissioners. Recently, you know, we've been giving away pieces of land, selling pieces of land, and it's county little pockets of different lands throughout the history of the agenda this year. The one that scares me the most is somebody wants us to give them 5 acres downtown. So this new procurement and the way we're going to do things, I hope this doesn't touch this where it isn't really vetted to the taxpayers. Because that's what we have in front of us. It's coming. And they do. They want 5 acres downtown, and it's this wonderful thing, and it's always got a wonderful name, and it's just wonderful, always. But the one thing I found out when I started coming here, the thing that brought me here was the thing wasn't so wonderful. And we didn't, thank God it's not in my area, it went somewhere else. But procurement and stuff, I just want everything to be transparent. And little by little, things are getting less transparent in the world. And I'm not talking about the county commission necessarily, Tallahassee, the United States, you know, so please take that into consideration when you're making these new rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Would anybody like to hear a staff report at this time on this issue? Seeing none, I guess we've been very well briefed. Thank you very much. So I am ready to have a first on 5D1A, B, and C. I see a first from Commissioner Bernard.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 5D1A, B, and C.
Very good. And I have a second from Commissioner Weiss. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously 6-0. Let the record reflect that Vice Mayor Marino has joined us at this time. Okay, very good. Now moving on to 5E1. And do we have any cards, Commissioner? Isami? Ms. Isami? Aha, here it is. 5D2 add-on. Okay. Then we will do this preceding the 5E1. So we're going to do 5D2 at this time. And do we have any cards on this issue? Seeing none. Do we? Is there a staff report on 5D2? Isami?
Will gladly present
No, I just want to know if there is or not.
Yes, we have an
Okay,
agenda
then
item
let me
included.
see if anybody would like to have a staff report on 5D2. Yes. Okay. Then we'll have a staff report. Go right ahead.
Perfect. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. This item recommends that we, staff, be authorized to negotiate the acquisition from the seller of an approximately 3 acres parcel improved with a 114-room hotel located on Okeechobee Boulevard, West Palm Beach. Following approval of House Bill 1365 on authorized public camping and public sleeping, which effective date is October 1st, 2024, staff has been actively exploring opportunities to provide temporary housing accommodations to individuals and families in need. As part of said ongoing effort, we have identified the subject property for sale and engaged in preliminary conversations with the seller. The property was initially listed for $60 million and is currently scheduled to go to auction the last week of September. The seller consented with staff securing appraisals on the property, which we secure from Callaway and Price and appraisal acquisition consultants. The appraisals are still under review. However, they point towards a fair market value of approximately $14 million. If we were to be authorized to enter into negotiations with the seller, the same will be based on the final appraisals and an assessment of the property's condition. As the hotel is currently, on the property is currently operational, acquisition of the same will allow the county to make available in short order 114 rooms to serve the most pressing temporary housing needs. The county's Community Services Department will be the one leading efforts to secure the agreements necessary for the daily operations of the facility. Since this is not a planned project, the budget for the same has not been approved. However, we have preliminarily identified several potential funding sources, including but not limited to the American Rescue Plan replacement funds and the infrastructure sales tax funds. If negotiations were to prove successful, staff will bring back at a later time for approval by the Board of County Commissioners an agreement for the purchase and sale of said property. That will be the end of staff presentation. We will gladly take any questions as you deem appropriate, and I should take a step back because I forgot to introduce myself for the record. Isami Ayala, Director of Facilities Development and Operations and Assistant County Administrator. With me is Purvi Bugaira, Director of PREM, Property and Real Estate Management, and Howard Falcon, Chief Assistant County Attorney.
So in order to be clear, this is just a recommendation for you to begin negotiations.
That is correct.
And you'll come back if there is a possible sale.
That is
Thank you.
correct.
Do you have any questions, further questions or comments of staff at this time? And do we have any cards, Commissioner Weiss? Seeing none, do I have any motions on the floor to authorize them to begin negotiations? Commissioner?
Go ahead.
All right, Vice Mayor. First, a second from Commissioner Weiss. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to 5E1 on a motion to adopt. And we have staff coming up. Do we have any cards on this at this time, Commissioner Weiss? Seeing none, would Any members of the board like to have a presentation by staff on this issue of 5E1? See none? Okay, very good. Do we have a first?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 5E1.
Very good. First by Commissioner Bernard, a second by Commissioner Weiss. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0. Great job. All right. And I believe if there are no other add-ons, Ms. Baker, we are ready for board appointments. Right? Well, we did a very comprehensive and efficient plan today. So, do we have any board appointments and any commission district appointments? And I'm going to start with Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to reappoint Brandon Cabrera to Discover the Palm Beaches.
Okay. And we vote on this, right, Ms. County Attorney? Very good. No.
That's a district.
I apologize. No, it's commission district appointments. We don't vote on it.
Perfect. Done. Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other appointments, Commissioner Barnett?
No, thank you, ma'am.
All right. Commissioner Woodward? None. Commissioner Weiss?
None.
Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to reappoint Leroy Kelson to the Fair Housing Equal Employment Board and Davika Thompson to the Tourist Development Council.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baxter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to reappoint Keith Wedgeworth to the Business Development Board.
Very good. Thank you. And Vice Mayor?
None at this time, thank you.
And the mayor's office has none at this time. Going right on to staff comments from the administration. Ms. Baker?
I have a number of them, so please bear with me. I would like to have Isami Ayala Colazo please join me. We're going to give you just a brief update on Vanderbilt. We're still working with them, and we will continue to work with them. We think that we'll be able to bring something to this board. Our target date is still October 8th, if we can bring something, but no later than the end of October.
Is it still scheduled then for October 8th, Ms. Baker?
We're continuing to work with them. Our target date is still October 8th.
Very good.
But if we don't get to a certain point and we believe that we can still work together to get there, then we'll bring it no later than the end of October. But as soon as it's ready to come before the board, we will bring it.
Okay. Will it still be on the agenda for October 8th?
A status update.
Very good.
If we don't have the contract.
Okay. Thank you. Did you wish to have Ms. Isami join in on you?
Want to add something? No.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anything else,
Yes.
Ms. Baker?
Thank you again for allowing us to negotiate for the hotel site. That is an issue that will assist us into the future. The other item that I have is the salary issue for your staff. So I'm going to ask Mr. Duran along with Mr. Condry to come up and present that.
Do we have, I think we have a paper on that.
Yes, you do.
We all have. Does everybody have a copy of that with us today? If anybody doesn't, let me know.
It's this one. It's on.
Has a colored picture in the front.
We also have our assistant HR Director, Maria, with us, along with David Oddie from the County Attorney's Office.
And who's the gentleman to the left of Chief Turner, if you could be recognized, sir? Chief, could you identify everybody on the right?
Yes, ma'am. Reginald Duran, Assistant County Administrator. I have with me Wayne Condry, Director of HR, Maria Figueroa, Division Director of HR, and David Oddie, County Attorney.
Very good. Okay. Then we will be ready for your report, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator. At the request of the board, I will be presenting 3 potential enhancement plans to the current structure of the County Commission Administrative Assistance position. Should the board decide to proceed with any of these plans or variations thereof, we will bring back a resolution representing such at a subsequent board meeting for final board approval. Additionally, at the behest of the board, we will be presenting a potential name change within the HR system to retitle the County Commission Administrative Assistants to County Commission Executive or other title should the board choose. As you can see in the presentation, the resolution has been amended previously back in 2010, twice in 2013, twice in 2017, and most recently in 2023. Our current staffing compensation model allows for the hiring of new County Commission Administrative Assistants at a pay grade 32. After 1 year in that position, at the discretion of the commissioner, the employee may be promoted to pay grade 34. Then after an additional year of service, at the discretion of the commissioner, the employee may be promoted to pay grade 36. And finally, after 2 additional years of service, or 4 years in total, the employee may be promoted at the discretion of the commissioner to pay grade E01. The first option we'd like to present to amend that, if the board so desires, will move all current staff to their appropriate position based upon their years of service. Current employees in the E01 pay grade will receive a 10% salary adjustment within their current pay range to reduce the compression of salaries as a result of this modification. The current County Commission Administrative Assistant title used by HR will be converted to County Commission Executive or other title as directed by the Board of County Commissioners. Otherwise, working titles may be used as approved by the individual board member or commissioner. Any new hires will, at the discretion of the commissioner, be allowed a one-time salary increase of up to 10 or 20% at the board's discretion today above the base salary. So specifically, I've outlined those pay ranges. We'd be starting, instead of a pay grade 32, at a pay grade 36. Option 2 is a variation of option 1. All current employees will move to the appropriate position below based upon their years of service. Current employees in the E01 pay grade will receive, again, a 10% salary adjustment within their pay range. The current County Commission Administrative Assistant title used by HR will be converted to County Commission Executive or other titles directed by the BCC. Otherwise, working titles may be used as approved by the board member. Any new hires will, at the discretion of the commissioner, be allowed a one-time salary increase of up to 1% upon hire. This option has the pay grade, initial pay grade starting at 38 rather than 36, which was in option 1, and rather than 32, which is the pay grade that we currently have. And the last option, option 3, would create one pay grade entitled County Commission Executive, pay range $57,994 to $108,000. Their working title will be as determined by the individual commissioner. Each commissioner will be able to hire new employees up to 50% into the pay range. Each commissioner will be allowed up to $260,000 in salaries during FY25. Thereafter, annually, this amount will increase at the same rate as the across-the-board given to merit employees. Commissioners will be allowed to allocate additional funds as they deem appropriate. The maximum amount of compensation to any one of the county commission executives shall not exceed 90% of the commissioner's salary. Those are the options that we have presented before you. Certainly would like to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Do we have any questions at this time for the chief? Okay. Very good. Ms. Baker?
We will need direction from the board on which option, if any, that you would like to implement.
Okay. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank staff for putting this together and your diligence and working with all of us and trying to find some amazing options. You know, as I've said before, the people that help us are vital to a successful office. Constituent services, helping the residents, reaching out. They're on call 24/7, and they have to know almost every single department within the county. the level of their expertise is above and beyond. And the last time we were here, we went over a study that was provided by the Economic Council that showed that they are underpaid. So that is why we are, here today looking at options. I believe our offices are individually unique. We have 7 different districts and 7 different needs that are vastly, vastly different. So I like to err on the ability of flexibility, because I think when we put ourselves confined to one narrow avenue, I think it can hurt someone individually as far as their ability within their office to get the best quality help. I also, I personally, whether it's what we call them or what we hire them out, I like the idea of option 3, and it has caps, it has parameters that make sure that the spending is not out of control. And I believe even with option 3 would be set every office equally and at an equitable place to where if we wanted to bring people in, no one has an advantage or disadvantage. It gives us that ability to get the best person for the job. And that's what we're looking for, and that's what we need. We have struggled in District 6 because I have been down 2 staff members for weeks at a time. It's hard to keep people when they can't afford to stay. So I appreciate any support I can get from my fellow commissioners, and I would love to hear if they would like to put anything forward, but I'll make the motion to approve option 3 and see where they stand.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. I listened to my colleagues. We've had numerous, I shouldn't say numerous, a number of discussions on this, and understand folks' challenge, the challenges people have had. I'm more comfortable with option number 2. I think that it provides more flexibility. It provides the opportunity to, I think, for the folks that, folks are struggling trying to find folks to take these jobs, so that would provide additional funds. But I think, as my colleague had mentioned, our aides, our assistants, that's really what they are, is our assistants. They do a lot, and they are required to know a lot, but that doesn't happen when they first come on the job, unless they've already been in this system and understand it. So I think there's an appropriate level of people coming in not being paid more than somebody that's been here for a significant amount of time. I also have concerns about, working in a large organization in the past and having to deal with both HR and salary issues, that you have to look at the entire organization. It's important to understand the impact that these decisions have. It's not just one office. It's an entire organization. We're a team of over 6,000 people all trying to row in the same direction and accomplish things. And we have to be careful, folks, as much as we like to think that everybody is always able to manage their own things. People do talk. We know they talk, and they will, within a short amount of time, people will be aware if something was done that they think is unfair. It is going to create problems in other departments, and the last thing we need to do is try and do something good and create additional problems. So I think that option 2 provides, I think, helps with the need of additional funds available. It's got flexibility in there as well, but also provides a scale and predictability of how we operate, and that we operate similarly to everybody else that works in this organization. So those are my thoughts. So I would propose option 2.
Any other I look forward to comments from the board on this. Any other comments?
I should have thanked staff too. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you. Sorry, little guy fell asleep in my lap. Thank you, staff, for this, and Commissioner Baxter, you've been relentless on this, and I'm sure a lot of staff upstairs is going to thank you. I do agree. One thing I do appreciate on here is having every year there be a step up. Having someone in my office right now who's in the year that it gets skipped, it's kind of a rough year to just be sitting there, you know, to not have this. So I do appreciate adding the years, and I do like that, you know, having it. Everyone will know what to expect with option 2. With the option 3, I understand where you're going with the you know, having the cap and everything, but I think it's important for our staff and also for HR and for budgeting purposes that we know each year kind of where things are moving. So I do appreciate that. I agree with Commissioner Weiss. I like option 2. It gives, you know, everyone a full understanding when they're coming in, and this also addresses people who have years on the floor. And that was one of my concerns initially too, was that if this was just about new hires, what about the people who've already been here? So I do appreciate that, and thank you for all the work that's been done on this.
All right. Anybody else? Commissioner Bernard.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just have some questions regarding option 3 so I can understand it. So looking at the slide presentation, it says it creates a 1 pay grade range from 57,994 to 108. So does that mean that the administrative assistant, or let's say the county commissioner's salary would be capped at that 108 forever?
No, sir. That is just indicative currently. What the county commissioners paid is $120,000, I believe, is their maximum. So this was to put it at 10% below that would be the cap for the executives, the new county commission executives would be their cap, and it would move as your salary increased.
But if the salary doesn't increase, because let's say this, like our salary is based on the state increasing their salary.
Yes, sir.
So if the state doesn't approve a salary increase, however, we approve a salary increase for our county staff members, then they wouldn't get any type of bump, kind of. Is that?
Correct. Their salaries would not exceed $108,000.
There is, if the board gives us direction, when we max out in a pay grade and staff gets across the board adjustment, it is paid out in a lump sum. So it is not added to the base of the employee because jobs are only worth so much, and so therefore they're capped out as far as the base is concerned. That would be direction the board would need to give us for your staff because they are different than the regular classifications for our staff.
So let me make sure I understand. So if, let's say someone reaches at, let's say close to that 108,000, which is 90% of our salary, if the state doesn't give a raise, however we do, they're still going to be capped at that 108,000 salary.
Correct.
So even though like all county staff would get a bump, they cannot. Is that correct?
All county staff do not get a bump. Like
I'm just saying, if we do, let's say the Board of County Commissioners give a salary increase, let's say like in today's budget, a 6% increase, even though our budget would increase by that 6%, however, that employee would still be capped at that 90% of the commissioner's salary. Am I understanding it right?
Yes.
I think that's a fair statement. It's currently constructed. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. So it says each commissioner will be able to hire new employees up to 50% into the pay range. So when we, can you explain that to me a little bit, please?
Sure. That new pay range, as we said, extended from, from 58,000 roughly to 108,000. They could hire someone at 50% above the $58,000 salary. So roughly they could add an additional $25,000 to that to bring them in around $82,000, $83,000 per year to start.
So just, would that be, so it's up to that, would that be up to that district commissioner who would be able to do that?
Yes, sir, at their discretion.
What about, does that work for current staff members or just new employees?
Well, in this plan, there would probably have to be a reset for all employees, knowing that the maximum available is the $260,000 if that's the cap the board decides to use.
Okay, so that means like you would reset it based on the 83,000, is that correct? So is that up to the commissioner?
I'm going to interrupt you for just 1 minute. I'm sorry, Commissioner Bernard. Ms. Baker, would you like to say something at this time?
No, I was listening.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say.
I'm sorry, I didn't put my light out.
Okay. Never put your light out. Your light's always in the shine. I'm sorry, Commissioner Bernard.
So let me make sure I understand. So let's say the commissioners decide to bump up everyone to that $83,000. Would that 260 salary, we would run afoul in that 260 if we put all three staff members at that 83,000?
Well, Wayne Condry, Director of Human Resources, I'm sorry to introduce myself the last time. If the board approved this particular plan, you would have $260,000 to work with. You would then be in a position to reset staff compensation based upon those $260,000. You couldn't exceed the $260,000. So whatever you wanted to pay staff, you would make that judgment about what each individual would be paid, so long as you didn't exceed the $260,000. So that would be the reset based upon this particular proposal if you accepted this one.
So question, what if let's say you have a staff office where 3 of these staff members have been for the county for, let's say, forever. And let's say the normal process, they were, let's say, making $100,000 right now. Let's say all 3 of them were making $100,000 right now. Would that mean that all 3 staff members would have to take a reduction since we've agreed to do it at that 263?
The short answer is yes, but we did look at the current staffing and recognize that within this 260, they would all fit with their current salaries.
Okay.
In the current offices.
Okay, and then the other, it says each commissioner will be allowed up to, I got that. Thereafter, annually, this amount will be increased at the same rate across the board given to merit employees, but that across the board is not, if I'm correct, it's just given to us as for lump sum, but however, you may decide not to give any to one specific employee. Would that be correct?
Yes, at your discretion. If the value of, let's say it were 6% of the 260 were added to your cap, then you'd be able to distribute those dollars as you saw appropriate.
Okay. And then the last part, just to make sure I understand, commissioners will be allowed to allocate additional funds as they deem appropriate. And then okay, I got that part. All right. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Bernard. Commissioner Woodward.
I was just wondering, do you have the, I guess, the fiscal impact between the options and as it equates to having the 260, just the 260 max is the option 3, right?
Yes.
And then what, with the current staffing that we have, do you know what the fiscal impact would be?
Yes, we do have some estimates in terms of what that would be. Option 1 would be an increase of approximately $186,000. Option 2 would be an increase of approximately $210,000. Likewise, option 3 would be approximately $210,000.
So the fiscal impact of option 2 and 3 is roughly the same?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you get a minute. You can take your time.
Thank you. I just following up on Commissioner Bernard's questions. On option 3, if I did my math correctly, if you brought in 3 new people and you brought them in at that would be the max salary you could do, right?
Yes.
And then at that point, they would just continue to move at at whatever everybody else gets. Whereas in option 2, they would continue to get their steps.
No, sir. Under option 3, if you brought them all in with your $260,000 max, the following year, whatever the board decides is going to be the adjustment to the budget, it is again going to be up to the individual commissioner to decide what salary increases are going to be afforded to which staff. You would still have the max, whatever that new max is. Currently, we're proposing $260,000 for the next fiscal year. But the following fiscal year, that might be, I don't know, $320,000. But you would have that amount of money to decide how you're going to allocate it. But you will be allocating funds again for those 3 staff.
How would you know what the allocation is going to be?
Well, when you get your budget afforded to your district, whatever that total amount of money is, minus what your people are currently making, whatever that additional funds are, it would be up to the individual commissioner to decide what funds will be allocated to which employee. You would be setting wages going forward every year.
So you just get an open amount.
Correct.
You take your whole budget, give it in salaries, if desired. I mean, obviously, we have
Yes,
certain things our offices are required to fund, right? We have certain.
Well, you'd have the line item that you would have for salaries. You could distribute it as you saw fit or not. You would also obviously have the option, if you received an increase, not to expend any of those dollars.
Ms. Baker.
The actual 6% would apply to the salary line items. So let's say you allocated 6% across the board for regular staff, then you would receive that 6% on top of the 260. You would then make a decision in your office who gets what of that delta.
What if somebody wanted 300,000?
It's up to the board. You tell me what you want to budget. It's up to the board.
What if somebody wanted $1 million?
It's up to the board.
Okay, that's not good business.
All right, Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize, I'm still a little confused on item 3. It refers to each commissioner being able to hire new employees up to 50%. I don't plan on bringing on any new employees. How does this affect the people who are currently working in my office? I know this has probably been said before, but can you dumb it down for me? I'm just not getting it.
Commissioner, you would have the opportunity with the $260,000 to determine what you would allocate for each employee. In other words, you would determine up to a maximum of $260 how you would like to distribute it amongst your 3 assistants. So that could be a reset to the current salaries they receive, or you could decide to maintain You have complete discretion over how you compensate your employees.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor Marino.
This is a hard discussion to have, especially when we have 7 county commissioners, different needs. But I look at that, I'm trying to look at this from the overall perspective of the county itself and the effect that our 7 offices have on the other employees that work in this building. And while it seems, when I came in, I wanted a one lump sum, because I brought a young lady with me who's probably upstairs cringing right now that I'm saying this, who took a huge pay cut to come and work for me. And no matter what we do here, I don't think option 3 is the right option. Sorry, Commissioner. I would be, if I have to choose something, I would probably choose option 2. But at the end of the day, it's also not helping. Option 2 doesn't help the longstanding people that have been here, the people that will be turning EO1, in the next year.
Commissioner Marino, Vice Mayor Marino.
Show me how it does, because in each one of these, you're saying that EO1, if someone turned EO1 today, what would they get?
Ms. Baker, did you want to go right ahead, Ms. Baker?
If you approved option 2, we'd be, the date that this becomes effective, we look at the employees in the positions at that time and make the appropriate adjustments based upon their years and the classifications they would fall in. Our existing employees that would be an EO1 today, to avoid compression, they would get a 10% bump. So all of our employees, all of your employees, would have some adjustments to their salaries, including our EO1s.
Okay. And I think that's important, because folks that have been here and put the time in, they shouldn't be hurt by this.
We agree.
But in the same vein, if there is a lateral move where somebody in the county commission decides they want to move someplace else in the county, they're actually not going to be able to, if they did a lateral move, they'd be taking a pay cut.
That is correct.
And it's hard enough working for the county. Government is fun. Having this discussion about government last night. But I was all for option 3 when I first came in as a new county commissioner, because I wanted to be able to pay someone who's well worth the money. But I don't think, especially since we have no qualifications for how we're paying anybody, I don't think it's fair of us to just say, okay, I'm going to give you 75, I'm going to give you 80, I'm going to give you 85, when they're doing the same job as somebody in another office who might be getting paid 60, 65, and 70. So I do like the idea of having the pay grades as opposed to the one lump sum. And I'm curious to hear what the rest of our commissioners say. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments by members of the board? I have a couple of questions. Staff who work for county commissioners are not considered to be staff that works for the county as county government as a whole. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes, I'll ask the county attorney to elaborate.
In other words, staff who work for us are hired by us, fired by us, and work at our pleasure. That is, we can hire and fire at will. Is that correct, David?
That's correct.
Okay. That is not true, or is it, about any other employee in the county?
Excuse me. The hire and fire is consistent for at-will employees, but not in the way that they are hired. They have to meet certain criteria in order to be hired for the rest of the county. But for the commission staff, that's just your personal hire. That person accounts only to you. they are not bound by the other rules, some of the other rules in the county.
So in other words, our staff serve a county commissioner at the pleasure of the county commissioner.
Correct.
And is this not true, and you may not know, but I believe this is true also of state legislative employees, state legislators, that their staff are hired and fired by them and serve at their discretion.
According to the law, it is for elected officials and their staff across the state.
Okay, so this is different than any other county employee, because staff employees are in a set where they work for a county commissioner, and that at our pleasure. I have been blessed to have a staffer who had been here many, many years, and it really helped me a lot. She was amazing because I didn't know where a lot of the things were, and she did. She had that, and I think that should be rewarded with a higher pay. However, I also think that, and this is where we're having a balancing act, that we need to encourage new people to come and work here. We need to have people who maybe out of college or graduate school who are eager to become part of government. And unless we give them the type of pay that is competitive with outside sources, we're not going to get those people. So I would prefer to have, if staff works at my discretion, I want the discretion to pay staff what I think they should get. Encouraging new people to come in, young people who are, shall we say, have different set of skills than those who are older. So I think that, in my opinion on this, I'd like to give as much discretion to the commissioner as legislators may have in pay. And I'd like to see that also for some commissioners who prefer to have people right out of graduate school who have a different skill set than those who have been here for many, many years. It's a great balancing act. We have three. We could have, we could pay very well one who's been there many, many years, encouraging people to stay longer and know the county. But we should also have the discretion to have a pay consistent with what's competitive out in the private field. So we bring in younger people who have a different set of skills. And I think that I'm going to ask Commissioner Weiss and then Woodward and Barnett to comment.
Thank you. I just want to clarify. So other than employees that are union, represented by a bargaining unit, everybody, in my understanding, in the state of Florida is at will. Is that not correct?
You have merit employees who are treated differently in terms of hire and fire. An at-will employee, law allows you to terminate for good reason, bad reason, no reason at all, just not a discriminatory reason. The merit employees, you have to show just cause.
So who's merit?
A large number of our employees.
The vast majority of county employees are merit system employees, covered by the merit system approved by the board. At-will employees cover the gamut of typically our department division directors. So very specialized professional jobs as well. But the vast majority of county employees are merit system employees. They have employee recourse for actions taken in the workplace. They can't be discharged without just cause, as David talked about, where at-will employees can be let go for, as David said, for any reason at all, as long as that reason is not discriminatory. But the vast majority of employees are merit system employees.
Okay, thank you. To be hired into this system, then do you have to meet certain qualifications?
Yes, if you're, with the exception, the board can hire whoever the board.
Not talking about the board.
For regular county employees, even at-will employees, you certainly have to be qualified based upon the credentials for the position in question. For merit system employees, it must be a competitive process. At-will employees can just be hired. Merit system employees must compete for every vacancy that we have, whether that's their initial hire or whether that's a promotional opportunity. We have to advertise a job, whether that's open competitive on the street, or we must advertise a job internal, promotional, but all merit system employees compete for those jobs. And that's why they do have some, retention rights and employment as well. But again, the vast majority of county employees are protected by those rights in the workplace.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I wanted to just kind of also mention, I think some of this is due to term limits, the effective term limits. We're not going to have as many employees, most likely, that have reached the number of years that happened previously, just because of the turnover of commissioners, and whether that's because the employee chooses they don't want to work for the next commissioner, or the commissioner decides, however that election played out, that this isn't the right staff for me, however this works. So I do like the idea of having, higher values in the beginning, but I prefer still having years of service be rewarded, just because for my own, I know that the number of years that they've been in office, or they've been, working in the office, it matters. Just the sheer volume of people, the departments that they learn, who to call, working in the community, even dealing with reporters. They just the information and the experience that comes with doing the job upstairs on the 12th floor, it really does matter. So I still prefer for us to keep a yearly increase, or is it this, what is this? Like, they're moving from executive 1 to 2 to 3, however this is gonna shape up. I still think that's the best way to go. Even if they come from a legislative background or come from city government, other governments, working on the 12th floor is the best experience for being an experienced commission aide, and that comes with years of service. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett, and then Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two questions quickly. It was called for greater flexibility in paying our staff, because we want to make sure that the salaries they're getting paid are competitive with other positions in public and private sector that are similar. Has there been any kind of study done to demonstrate that the salaries as listed in options 2 or in 1 are competitive with executive assistants working for other counties, or maybe executive assistants working in private industry?
We did do a salary survey, Commissioner, involving other boards of county commission around the state of Florida. Our salaries, frankly, are fairly competitive compared to most of the boards of county commission around the state of Florida. There are some exceptions to that. Obviously, I think Dade County is a little, different than us. But by and large, we are fairly competitive with what everybody else is paying around the state.
Okay. And my second question with regards to option 3, if we were to choose that option and we have different commission offices paying their staff grossly different salaries, but within the framework provided in option 3, does that set us up for any kind of legal liability?
No, Commissioner, that is that is where it's different for the elected officials, staff, as opposed to the way the county operates generally.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bernard? Wait, hold on just 1 second. We have the attorney.
I just wanted to clarify there is a difference between legal liability and practical problems. So obviously, if you're paying somebody that's been here 3 years vastly different amounts, everyone on the 12th floor will be aware of that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Kaufman. I believe it's Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I guess I asked questions, but I didn't weigh in on which option that I would prefer. But after hearing the fiscal impact on both option 2 and option 3, I'm going to support option 3. And however, what I'm struggling with is where the maximum amount of compensation that cannot exceed 90% of the commissioner's salary. I'd like to see if there's something that we can do, because if we're giving, you know, even though we may get the money in our budget, and let's say we're not able to use it, and we've given everybody a pay raise, I just would like to see, is there a way to fix that up a little bit that gives us that flexibility in the future? But I don't know how, but.
With the mayor's permission?
Go right ahead.
It would appear that that's just a policy decision on your part, that you don't want your executives to be paid more than you are making.
I'm going to the state. They're going to get paid more than me, so I don't have a problem with people getting paid more than me. And so I just think that, you know, if we're giving raises and they meet the criteria that you would like to, I just think that we should at least figure out a way to craft this. That's my opinion.
Very good. Commissioner Baxter and then Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple questions. If they do cap out on option 3 at the 108, would they, under this policy, get bonuses then?
I think that again,
Yeah, it would be
it goes
a
back to a policy
call.
decision.
It was not anticipated that they would get
How do the rest of the
payout.
employees, how does it work for everyone else?
The rest of county employees, if you're at the maximum of the pay range, an across-the-board increase occurs, and the max does not change, you get that percentage in a lump sum payment.
Okay.
But please keep in mind, because I want to be totally transparent, that by the time an employee reaches the max, they have been with the county a very long time, because these pay ranges are meant to be for 30 years.
Well, capping at the 260 wouldn't allow us to take 3 employees to the cap either.
No,
way.
I'm just,
So,
when we talk about the 108, if you bring them in at 83,000 and they're here for a number of years, even going into a second term, at some point, they're going to hit that 108 if the state does not move your salaries up. If the state moves your salaries up, then this 108 will move up.
and our salary is based on population, is it not, as part of the formula?
That's my understanding, yes.
Let me ask.
Well, hold
that's
on,
a
I
good
don't want to
point.
go down that just quite yet. Let me, either way, it isn't up to us what we make. I do agree with Commissioner Bernard that, you know, the 90% does seem, I don't know, I don't care if somebody makes more than me. They do an amazing job, they do hard work, and should be able to be rewarded if they are here for the next commissioner without that. So I do support not necessarily capping them at what we make, but if somebody else does, I personally don't have a problem with that. And then something that Commissioner Barnett had asked was about other counties. How does Broward County, what do they do as far as their staff goes?
Broward County does option 3.
Option 3. So they are also doing a lump sum. And do we currently know what that lump sum is?
Lump sum payment in terms of setting aside funds for the commissioner to use and pay staff accordingly. Yes, that's what Broward does. Broward currently is the only commission officers that have that in place currently.
And what is their cap?
I'm sorry, I don't know what their exact cap is.
Okay. I still, I think, you know, just listening to everyone, I still think the flexibility, just because our offices are so unique, is ultimately the best way to go, and without capping it at the 90%. Now, if somebody wants to cap it at what we make, maybe listening, see what the other board members have to say, but, you know, that isn't something that is, I think, important to myself. But if somebody else finds that important, that our staff doesn't make more than us, I would love to hear it. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Marino.
I think option 3 is a slippery slope. I'll be very clear. Yes, okay, the fiscal impact between 2 and 3 may be the same, but with having no guardrails, just the morale in the office and competition between this person has 10 years of service and a college degree, gets $100,000, and this person walks in the door and has no experience whatsoever, and you're giving them $100,000. What's to keep the person, what's to keep some employees here that say, I worked this hard, I got this degree, I've got these qualifications, and you're giving somebody who comes in off the street who has no college degree or no experience the same amount of money? That's not fair. We have to have guardrails. We have to have some sort of a measured system. I wanted the just give me the amount, the total amount when I walk in the door 4 years ago. But after being here for 4 years, I don't believe that that is right, especially since, yes, we are different. We do have demands. But at the end of the day, without checks and balances, I don't believe we have good governance up here. We're asking other organizations to have guardrails on what they do and how we deal with them. I think we need to keep guardrails in place at the commission level also, because if you have someone that is making $100,000 with no qualifications, and now that commissioner leaves for whatever reason, can they go and find that same job someplace else in the county and keep their benefits, mind you, and keep their insurance and all of the other things that come along with it? We haven't even talked about benefits and insurance, and we haven't even talked about titles, and I would really very much like to see a chief of staff title be put in place and an assistant chief of staff title put in place, because I think if someone is using this job temporarily or for 4 years or 8 years and they go on, that's what they've done here. That's what they should be entitled. But again, I do not see this as one commissioner being able to allot a certain amount of dollars to their staff and another commissioner feeling pressured to do the same thing. So I think that having guardrails and having pay grades in place is fiscally responsible for all of us. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, and I appreciate, Vice Mayor, that you mentioned benefits, because that actually was my question when I had asked about Broward. As I understand it, Broward employees that work for commissioners, they're not even considered like hourly. They don't have like sick leave if they miss or if they come in. What's the difference in how our employees are? I know ours that aren't paid by the hour, but that's how the pay grade works out. They're salaried employees. But the difference in Broward with the benefits package, sick leave, we just voted on the 401A whatever program for if they don't use vacation and sick leave, what happens? But Broward, they don't even accumulate that. So
yes, in some environments, commission staff do not get the same benefits that regular county employees get. Accrued sick leave, vacation leave, et cetera, because their comings and goings are at the discretion of the commissioner. So there are certain benefits that are in place here that are not the same in other environments. And it would be up to the commissioners to decide going forward to keep I'm assuming we're going to keep the process in place. We didn't address that at all in our proposals, but yes, indeed, in some environments, those things are significantly different than they are for regular county employees.
So the way things are right now with our staff, they get all the benefits of being a county employee, including any of we're having all these financial meetings with BenCorp coming in, or any of this. They have access and the ability to use any of that, the deferred employment. They have retirement. Everything county employees get, our people get as well.
That is correct.
Would this change that?
Not as proposed.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Baxter, and then Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we went with option 3, would we be able to pay anyone $100,000 starting off with no experience.
Option 3 does not, oh, go ahead, Chief.
On day one of a new hire now.
Right, because we're setting as the cap of,
Right, $83,000.
would
in
be
that
the
range.
highest, because that would be the 50% over the minimum.
Yes.
Would be the absolute maximum. Now, if we decided to hire all 3 at the maximum, which would be 83, we're still at roughly 249 a year.
Yes.
That's all, thank you.
Wait, Commissioner Weiss? Did you want to say something?
Here, let me see. I did the math. That's
It's 249.
All right, let's have the math guys do the math. Commissioner Bernard, you had your light on.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to add one last piece that the Vice Mayor mentioned. Commissioner Baxter, Vice Mayor Marino mentioned the Chief of Staff and the Assistant Chief of Staff title. With whatever motion that you do make, can we add that title to it? So, I don't know if we have a motion yet, but we do.
I did. There is a motion on the floor that I would like to amend to cap, let's cap the salary at what we, the commissioners, make, because I believe somebody's uncomfortable with us making over that at some point. And also to what Commissioner Bernard said, if you'd like to restate.
Yeah, just to add the Chief of Staff title and the Assistant Chief of Staff title, and I would second that motion.
Okay, very good, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor, and by 2 members. We also have 2 lights, Commissioner Weiss and Commissioner Woodward. Commissioner Weiss, have you done some math?
I did my math.
I knew it. I knew we have a math man here. Go right ahead.
So based on what's in writing on option 3, 57,994 at 1.5 or 1.50% would be 86,991 per employee times 3 is 260,973, so it exceeds, that would exceed the 260.
Okay, I can see we have a tremendous response for that. Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Woodward.
Yes, thank you. Just for clarification, we're saying that the new hire would come in at the 86, and the concern about the 108. Where in this does the new hire then become the potential to get to the 108? Well, like where's the stepping up process on this? Because once we get to next year, we get our new allocation of funds, and we have all the same people next year, then what? How is this determined?
Are you looking at, who can
I'm
answer
looking,
this
anyone that
question?
could answer
Chief
how
Durnan,
this
Mr.
works
Kendra?
out.
But-
Again, it
how
would
many-
be, I'm sorry,
Ms.
again,
Baker,
it
go
would
right
be
ahead.
up to the district commissioner on what you're going to pay your employees for that fiscal year.
So that fiscal year, 3 existing employees, no one's a new hire. We reset the pay. What do we do at that point?
May I, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, go right ahead.
The
Oh, wait,
idea-
hold on. I want to have I think we need an answer from staff on this, or from the county attorney? Okay.
Again, Mayor,
yes.
again, this lump sum of money
Right.
is your budget, salary budget, on how, and it's up to you how you want to allocate these dollars. For new hires, it's going to be capped, right? But the next year, you'll add whatever we get across the board to it, whether it's 6%, 3%, you will have that delta to then, if you want, add to each of them, to one of them, to 2 of them, or change everything in the office. That will be your discretion.
Add how much, however, whatever we decide.
That is correct.
I don't want to do that. Just personally speaking, I don't want to do that.
Okay, that's very good. This is a very good discussion. I like how everybody just, and that's why, because this is a new policy. Am I correct? It's a new policy. So it's important that we all understand exactly what's happening. Okay, so that light is off. I just like to say this. And I'm pleased that we now have back to a chief of staff type of designation, because what we do is very important. We are the only entities in county government that represents direct representation of the people. And the people have given us this responsibility to take care of their zoning, their everything from garbage pickup to roads, to just about every aspect of community life. We have that responsibility. And by God, if we can't have a responsibility of paying our own staff as we want to, as we think that they are entitled to, then I think that that's a disservice. And I definitely believe that we should have all the discretion that is allowed by law and ordinance to hire who we want and who would be best served for the people of our district, and who would come in at a salary that's commensurate with their experience. So just 1 minute, Commissioner, just 1 minute, Vice Mayor. If you'd like to speak, I'll be more than happy to recognize you. Go right ahead.
No, finish.
No, you're recognized.
We're not setting any guidelines on people's experience. Someone can walk in the door and have absolutely no experience. We're not setting any guidelines whatsoever. And I think that is not good form. It's just not good form. People should be paid commensurate on their experience. That is how people get paid as they go along, whether it's in government or in business. You get paid for your experience. You put the time in. Someone who hasn't put the time in shouldn't be getting paid the same amount as somebody that's been here 10 years. Whether you walk in the door at $86,637, whatever it was. Some of us have staff that's been here a little longer. Some of us have staff that's brand new. The salary discussion happens every time there's a change in elected officials. We need to start being cognizant of that and cognizant of staff's time on this. And I believe that if we go to option 3, we're just setting ourselves up for a lot of problems. Discretion is one thing. I appreciate discretion. But I also don't think discretion should come without guidelines and without experience. So again, I'd actually like to offer a substitute motion for option 2 and including chief of staff and assistant chief of staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baxter. Okay, second, right. Okay. Did you want to say something, Commissioner Baxter?
So I was just going to say it's up to us to determine under option 3 that person's experience based on what we would want to pay them. I mean, it doesn't mean, I think we are all responsible commissioners. I think we all do what's right, and I think it would be up to us to determine their level of qualifications. So if somebody comes in with a bachelor's or land planning use or whatnot, we can say, hey, I can reward this with such. If they come in and they have an attorney, if they have their degree and from graduated law school and they want to come in, we can reward that as well. I think we as commissioners are responsible enough to look at that and determine what suits our office best, not just pay somebody who hasn't been here and isn't qualified max amount of dollars. I think that's worst case scenario, and I try not to operate under the absolute worst case scenario. I like to believe in the best in my fellow commissioners. And this salary discussion does come up every time there's new commissioners, so it does seem to be a problem, which is why the max amount of flexibility solves this problem, so we're not consistently bringing this up. I will wait to see before I continue if I guess there was a second on the floor. So I will.
Yeah, there is. I just want to say that I wanted to finish what I was saying, but Commissioner Bernard, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Okay, very good.
To propose the option 3, capping the salary at the maximum of a county commissioner's salary, and to add the chief of staff and the assistant chief of staff title.
Very good. And we have a second to that substitute motion. Let me just finish what I was saying. This is a good debate. I like to have differing opinions because I think this is how we are able to move forward in a good discussion. And so as they say, never fear the debate. And I think it's good that we have this lively discussion on it. I like to see people come into the county commission working for us with no experience in government. I think it brings a freshness and a new set of eyes. And I certainly would encourage anyone out there who would like to have a career in government to come and start a government employment. It's a wonderful idea it's a wonderful place to work, and I think that no one should, depending on your opinion, but I think that it's a fresh thing to have people with, at some point, none of us had any experience, and we applied for a job, and somebody took a risk on us, and we've done well. And I would like to see that, that is my personal and professional opinion, to see that freshness and new eyes given to someone who really wants a career in government, but does not have the many, many years of experience in government, but has the desire. So with that in mind, we have a couple of motions on the floor. We have a substitute motion.
I think.
A substitute motion. And Ms. Kaufman, what do you say?
Mayor, just to clarify, I believe the substitute motion is the same as the original motion. So if Commissioner Bernard would like to strike that, and then we'll start with the substitute motion.
Yes, the substitute is to the original motion.
There, very well said. Done. Okay, we have another motion, I believe, from Commissioner Woodward?
It's Commissioner Marino.
Commissioner Marino? Yes. Just one second. Commissioner Bernard.
Yeah, there's no other motions, Madam Mayor. My motion is the only motion that would be voted on.
I thought, okay. I just want to make sure that, look, the board is open. We have a statement saying that there's only one motion with a second on the floor.
No, there actually was a substitute motion by Commissioner Marino and seconded by Commissioner Woodward.
Right.
And that substitute motion is for option 2. That's the current motion on the floor. The first motion was for option 3, with the cap being at the commissioner's salary level and the titles being chief of staff and deputy chief of staff.
Correct. So if I'm not mistaken, we have two motions.
Right, and you have to address the substitute motion first.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Attorney, I don't believe that we have to address the substitute motion. We can only address the substitute motion.
Well, okay, if the substitute motion, though, was substantially the same as the original motion.
Oh.
So it doesn't make sense. The substitute motion, do you want to change something in the original motion? The original motion was option 3 with a cap up to the commissioner's salary level, and chief of staff and deputy chief of staff.
We could vote on the substitute motion, Madam.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm glad we had that cleared up. So we're going to vote first on the substitute motion, that we have a second, and is everybody knowing exactly what we're doing? And then after that, we will vote on the motion by Vice Mayor Marino, which was seconded by Commissioner Woodward. No, you're shaking your head no.
No, the motion we need to address first is the substitute motion.
Okay.
That took the place of the original motion. And the substitute motion was by by Vice Mayor Marino, seconded by Commissioner Woodward, and that is for option 2.
So
let's address that one and take a vote on that.
Okay. All right. So
I
we're
have
going
a
to take a
question.
vote on the motion by Vice Mayor Marino, seconded by Commissioner Woodward at
Mayor, I
this
still
time.
have a question.
Oh, okay, go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. When we started this, the fiscal impact was the same for 2 and 3. How has the fiscal impact now changed? If we're going from 90% of the salary, we're going to 100% of the salary. So how has that changed? So that's another $70,000?
In option 3, you still have a cap of $260,000, unless the board were to increase the cap.
Yeah, it just puts 108 higher. Still can't go over 260.
Okay.
So while an individual's salary can now be up to the maximum of the commissioner's salary, the total amount available to any commission district is still set at 260 unless the board
Thank
should
you for
choose that.
clarifying that. That was not clear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. I think we should probably do a roll call. Mr. Clerk, if you could, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Barnett,
Yes.
Commissioner Baxter,
Do you understand what we're voting on?
Do.
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernard,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Mayor Sachs.
Yes.
7 yes.
Very good. Let the record reflect that it passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you so much, staff, for your work on this. We're not quite finished yet. I think we still have commissioner comments.
Unfortunately, I'm not done. I've got one more. Well, 2 more, I should say.
Go right
Just to
ahead.
give the board a status update on the transportation plan. We have kicked off our meeting with our technical committee, the core technical team, and that is our planners. And so as a result of that, they actually held a kickoff meeting on September 9th. That committee consists of 7 members, representatives from the north end of the county, the central, the south, the west, and the Midwest, along with 2 county staff. They held their first meeting on September 13th. There are some key issues that will need further vetting, so they're continuing to work through that to develop a scope of work. Their next meeting will be September 19th, and then their last meeting will be October 3rd. They will then submit a draft scope of work to the, like a 14-member committee for the managers, including the county staff. And then we will address it at our October meeting, late meeting for the entire managers. We will then provide and briefing to the executive committee because they've asked for a staffing update. That executive committee is the intergovernmental committee. So we'll give them an update on where we are. I will then bring back to you, this board, a more detailed report in hopefully late October. The league will be having their meeting as well on that Wednesday, so an update will be given to them. And then we will provide in November an overall draft to this board for consideration. So
Very
that's
good.
where we are today.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments? Ms. Baker? Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Okay.
And you have another
And the
one.
last issue, or I should say topic, that I need some direction on. We belong to the South Indian River Water Control District Board of Supervisors, which is Sir Wicket. That particular independent district actually serves our north end of the county, which will be our, and I'm trying to find it here, it will be our, I'm sorry, Jupiter Farms area, it's limited to that particular area. They will then provide, they've got a board meeting coming up. They need to have an election. Staff would like for you to give our representatives on that board direction on how to vote on this particular matter. We've got land, it's weighted, and so the county has substantial land. They've got an existing board, and there are 2 vacancies coming up on that board. It is my understanding, and I'm open to any assistance from District 1, it is my understanding that the board is working well, and staff would like to know if the board wants us to support the 2 incumbents sitting on the board today.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Yes, the South Indian Sir Wicket, as it is nicknamed, is Palm Beach Country Estates also, and Jupiter Farms. And we've been paying our dues or our assessments to Sir Wicket for a very long time. So basically my question would be that we've had no issues with the current board, and they've worked well, and so it's kind of like, do you want to change them or not? So I guess my question is, have they represented the county properly and fairly? If they have, then I would give staff direction to keep the officials, I think they call them supervisors, keep the supervisors the same as they are now. If they've not had any problem with the county and they've served us well, I think that would be fine. We have several parks in the area. We have, and they use Sir Wicket actually uses some of the parks, and we have a lot of natural areas in there that actually we don't pay assessments to Sir Wicket, but they are in the framework of it. So if they've done their job and we've had no issues with them, I think we should just leave it the way it is. Does that make sense?
Okay, Ms. Baker? All right, very good. No other lights. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Ms. Baker?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, County Attorney. Thank you very much for your help today. And moving on to Commissioner comments, and let me start with Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My only comment is I would like to request an off-site proclamation for Maria Antuña, and we're going to do Hispanic month for September.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. We have a second, and all those for, anybody opposed? See that passes unanimously, 7-0. Very good. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to congratulate the EGS project on their 10th year anniversary and want to personally thank them for their service to our community. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Weiss.
No comment.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. I'd just like to share, I had a mayors and managers meeting on Friday down at South County Civic Center, and very well attended. Fortunately, I think I only had one mayor who managed to make it, but a lot of our municipalities, it's part-time for them, so coming in the daytime's not always feasible. But I did have a number of city staff that came with the managers. I encouraged them to please bring their planners, their engineering departments, public works, all of them, so we can start having some of the discussion that's coming for transportation. And it was good, shall we say. You know, any of the meetings that I've ever had stepping into this role, not coming from a city, is kind of to have to hear some of the history between the city and the county. And but I think overall it was very productive. And I think it's an exciting time for us as a county and all of our cities. Everyone seems to be in agreement that we need to work together on this and kind of put some of the history aside. We can, acknowledge that the history was there, but moving forward, and again, moving with transportation, moving forward, that's a good one for all of us, because we have become one blurred entity here. One city rolls right into the next, and we have county, city, state roads. So I'm very excited, and I just wanted to share that with everyone, that it's good. And our cities are happy, more happy with us, shall I say. And talking to staff was important, because I think a lot of them, they do the work And, you know, we make policy, but it's good to actually talk to the people who have to implement that policy. So I just wanted to share. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. This past Sunday, I was at John Prince Park in the middle of a torrential downpour, welcoming the Bangladeshi community to a really beautiful festival. There were thousands of people there. They let me say a few words. And at that time, I also, like everybody else, received word about what happened at Trump International. I believe they still shut down part of the road and cordoned it off for law enforcement activity. It was alarming to hear about a second assassination attempt on the 45th president. I just wanted to take this time to thank Sheriff Bradshaw and our PBSO law enforcement people, Secret Service, and everybody who acted so swiftly to catch this guy, to prevent possible tragedy from occurring. We have the best of the best here serving us in Palm Beach County, all of our residents. And the residents of District 3, where this incident took place. I had the opportunity yesterday to sit and meet with President Trump and at his home, and we discussed this and a few other things. It wasn't rattled at all. He seemed calm and cheerful. He also asked me to express his gratitude to the sheriff and all of our folks in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and everyone that protects him and all of our constituents here in Palm Beach County. I just wanted to say that, and that it's sad that this has happened again. It needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnett. Vice Mayor Marino.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to request an off-site proclamation declaring September 2024 as Palm Beach County Senior Center Month.
Second. All those for? Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0.
Thank you. And jumping off a little bit on what Marcy said, Commissioner Woodward, I actually went through our agendas for just last year, and there were over 50 interlocal agreements with cities. So when people say the cities and the counties don't work together, that's really not true. We have over 50 agreements that we're working with cities right now, whether it's on transportation or whether it's on annexation or delivering water or whatever. We do work with the cities all the time. So I do applaud the cities and the city managers. Had the city managers in my office yesterday talking about transportation and mobility and the future of it, and actually asked if we would throw police and fire into the conversation. No, listen to me. If we're talking about heavy traffic points around our county, the police and the fire know where those traffic points are because they're the ones that are always responding to tragedies there. So they have to have a little bit of purview on what's going on. Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to be a little late this morning. I was at the governor's presser this morning where he was talking about how the state is going to take jurisdiction on prosecution for this, being that the infractions were multi-county. So far we know of Palm Beach and Martin, and there's an opportunity of maybe Broward being part of one of the jurisdictions affected. So thank you all. I'm sorry I was late, but everybody be safe and have a great day. And we'll see you later, right?
Thank you. Commissioner Baxter, did you have something to say?
Briefly, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to, I know we took a moment of silence, but I would like to ask whomever is willing to please join me in just sending prayers and condolences for Mayor Pinto's family and what they're going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And briefly, I'd just like to state that Palm Beach County looked very, very strong this weekend with that attempted assassination. Not only because we have the best sheriff, I think, and Sheriff Rick Bradshaw and the FBI, Social Security, and the Secret Service, but we had an innocent bystander who took it upon themselves to copy that license plate. I thought that was very, very brave and also very proactive. And it shows that we are united as a community, that we will protect our own and any visitors here. Once they come in our jurisdiction, we take care of everybody. Also, I'd like to note Sheriff Snyder in Martin County. We served together many years ago, and I think that he also deserves a shout out. I was very very blessed to have participated in the 9/11 event with our firefighters at Palm Beach State College. What a wonderful thing to remember, not just the tragedy of the worst attack on U.S. soil in the history of the country, but how we came together afterwards. I remember vividly people with trucks and the flags and people hugging each other, and we came together as Americans. I look forward to that happening again soon. So with that, we are adjourned until 5:05. Where we got that 5 minutes, I don't know, but I'll respect it. 5:05 today. Thank you.